Hi, I'm Kenneth WAJDA. I'm a professional photographer here in Colorado. Welcome to another one of my photography talks. Today I want to talk about gear. Specifically, the Leica M6 TTL. So this Leica I picked up in a trade for another Leica, and this one, it was an even trade except for the one that I had was the non-TTL and had the smaller dial on top. This one has the larger dial. I kind of like the looks of the smaller dial. It's like the M3 and the M4, but the TTL had the larger one. So if you're looking at different ones, you'll know it's a TTL by the larger dial, and it says TTL on it right there on the hot shoe. But this camera, it's funny because I really wanted to get a chrome M6, and I was trading a black one, and I have this with a 28 on it, and it's one of those cameras that, you know, I just like the build quality. Like I always talk about Leica and all the build quality on all these cameras, and there's no loss to any of my money whenever I invest in one of these because I can always get it back. But this camera is one of those cameras that when I take it out, people definitely respond to. By having the chrome top, people see that camera and they just really respond to it. But it's also funny the way I work with it. So if I use a Nikon FM2, which is the camera that I used for most of my professional career as a photojournalist, I could meter that thing in a second. And it was always clear to me what the meter was going to say or how to get it to where I wanted it to be and know what it was going to react to and how it was going to respond to film and expose a perfect Tri-X negative. This camera has a meter in it too. And I find that all of the M6s that I've ever used, when you put them on, the battery tends to get touched and activated inside my bag. And then the battery dies. And I've had more batteries die in these cameras. This one actually has an off switch. The TTL, they put an off switch because on the ones that weren't TTL, if you didn't put it on B for bulb after you were done using it, and it was sitting in your bag, it would seem to get activated at times until it just die. And the batteries never lasted. And so they put an off switch on this one. I find I don't even use the meter. I guess the exposure. I have an idea of what it should be, and I'll set it there, and sometimes the lights will light up and they'll tell me, but there's no way I like this meter anywhere near as much as I like that FM2, which I could, you know, instantly see exactly what I was getting. I knew how to move the aperture in the right direction. This one moves in the wrong direction compared to Nikon. And this is a camera that I use without the meter, even though there's a meter in it, which is a crazy thing to say, but I noticed that I do that. I really am not turning on the meter and actually activating and using it. I'm usually setting the exposure. When I look at it, it's often saying it's right on because I understand Sunny 16. I understand how to shoot indoors, wide open at a 60th of a second, and that's pretty much the exposure in a lot of indoor places. So I'm always using 400 speed film in it, but this is a great setup if you're looking for, again, a simple camera that is always with you, small, lightweight. You can carry it, get it solid as a brick, and I like those wide angles. This one I keep a 28 on, and it's got a viewfinder for a 28. And the M3 doesn't, that only has a viewfinder that goes down to a 50, and the M2 they came out with, and so they could put a 35 millimeter viewfinder on it. But I like those wides, and so this camera is my 28 millimeter camera lens body. I typically keep a lens on a body and I move around. I often have black and white film in all of them, so they're just different bodies for different lens choices. That's the way I tend to work. All right, if you're interested in an M6, you can't go wrong with these cameras. These cameras are workhorses. The TTLs were made after the regular M6s, so they're usually a little bit newer, a little bit of course they're newer, but they're also usually a little bit better condition because they may not have been used as much. All right, that's today's photography talk. If you're enjoying these, hit the subscribe button and I'll bring you some more. Thanks so much for watching.